Before that match kicked off, there was a moment of silence, and that is because last night 8 football fans lost their lives following a crush at the Yaounde Stadium. Sports journalist from Cameroon Giovanni Wanneh was at the stadium. He joins us now. He is in Yaounde. He is awaiting the Malawi versus Morocco clash. A very good evening and welcome to Newzroom Afrika, Giovanni.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Giovanni, can you just take us through what happened last night? Certainly a tragic sequence of events.
Yeah, really tragic, and I was rather unfortunate. I witnessed that because since yesterday I've just had it in my mind. And yeah, it all started. I had to arrive the stadium late because I had to go through some stuff, and I arrived like 15 minutes to the game, and all of a sudden I saw a man sitting down incapacitated. He was gasping for air. I saw a woman being rushed in a pool of her own blood. She was being rushed to an ambulance, and I just saw patches of blood on my way. So I was perplexed. I was like, what just happened here? And I got a reply from one of two boys who were moving and talking. They told me that a stampede just occurred like some seconds back, and it wreaked havoc, complete havoc outside the stadium as the military forces tried to stop fans who had valid tickets from entering into that particular end of the stadium, and some of the hardcore fans then had to start pushing they start pushing the gates, and all of a sudden the gates then fell, and they just ran over, some people ran over some. So it was really an unfortunate event that I had to witness yesterday at the Olympic Stadium.
Has Cameroon ever seen something like this?
Never. We've never seen something like this ever in our history before, and it's quite unfortunate it's happening at the biggest stage of them all, hosting the Africa Cup of Nations, and it's happening just 48 hours after there was a blast at a nightclub, killing over 18 people, and so fans were still, inhabitants of Yaounde were still grieving for the loss of lives at that nightclub, and then all of a sudden this comes in. So we've never experienced this as a country before. We did hear from Nigeria in the 90s that it occurred in one of their World Cup qualifying games against Angola, and we've been hearing from other nations, but we've never experienced it. So it's rather unfortunate that it had to come at this time.
I've been following a lot of your colleagues that also are sports journalists and journalists in Cameroon, and many of them are calling for the tournament to be stopped.
Yeah, to stop the tournament in such a way, it's going to equally be harsh to these teams. But I think no football game is worth the loss of life. But then it's happened, and yeah, we're in a press conference with Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and he did tell us that reporters are the eyes, and he'd rather prefer reporters to come in with a lot of stick to hit the confederation hard as per mistakes that have been made throughout the competition than keep quiet. But he equally said he's going to propose to the ESCO that no quarterfinal games be played at the Olympic Stadium. But ending the tournament, he didn't mention anything about that, about ending the tournament abruptly.
What did you notice with regards to what was happening at the stadium, to the situation at the stadium? So if you had the ear of Patrice Motsepe, like he said, the journalists need to be the ears and eyes and hold the federation to account. If you had his ear for a minute, what would you tell him went wrong last night, and what wasn't done that could have avoided yesterday's tragedy?
Yeah, he does know that someone somewhere wasn't doing his job right. I mean, these fans, probably someone who has been to the Olympic Stadium before will understand me, because there are over 4 entrances before you get to the main entrance that all this happened. And in all those entrances, they are stopped. They are security stopped. You cannot get to the main entrance of the stadium without your ticket. Now, be patient, just like Dr. Patrick Motsepe was asking himself, is Why not let fans into the stadium with their tickets? And who gave the instructions that fans should not be let in that part of the stadium? These are the questions we've asked, and we're waiting for answers. He did say that there's been a deadline. A deadline has been given for people to write a report, to submit their final report. So the Confederation of African Football and the local organizing committee should know where to go from here, because it's really a terrible situation, losing 8 lives, and amid those 8 lives, we have kids. Uh, Equally, we have mothers. And the videos circulating are not just good for the eyes. Equally, for someone like me who witnessed, it's some sort of stigma in this wonderful competition that we're hosting. So someone somewhere was not doing his job right, and that's just what we have to figure it out.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Olembe Stadium? We know that the host nation Cameroon have had all of their matches at the stadium. It is the stadium, the only stadium that has had an 80% capacity of fans able to actually come and watch AFCON fixtures because they are the host nation, and it is one of your biggest stadiums in the capital city. 60,000 people can fit into that stadium. But are there any question marks around it? Has there ever been any question marks around a stadium that's, I can understand, quite important to Cameroonian football fans?
Yeah, there have been question marks from the very onset. I mean, we noticed the the release from the CAF Secretary General, Mr. Musonge, and just some days before the tournament would kickstart, saying that the stadium was not ready, and if Cameroon, if the local organizing committee didn't do something to make the stadium ready before the kickstart of the tournament, then the venue, it was not going to host the debut of we were also going to host the start of the tournament that was pitting Cameroon against Burkina Faso. Then afterwards, the Confederation of African Football came up with statements again saying that the stadium had gone 98% ready, and they felt like the stadium was supposed the competition. But far from that, the stadium is an edifice. Nobody's denying that fact. The only thing yesterday was issues regarding security. Issues regarding security, and security men not taking responsibility, because right now all what they are doing is having to blame some fans that they came in without tickets, and hardcore fans had to break their way into the stadium. But they're all lies. Never listen to that. Those fans can individually verify that those fans had the tickets, and they just wanted to enter the stadium. And for those who have watched games in Cameroon before the games, there's this buzz, there's this seismic, I should put it, almost seismic-like reaction with the fans inside. So these fans outside sort of felt that reaction with the fans from inside, and thought, okay, maybe the games have started, and we have our tickets, we paid our monies, we have gone through all the traffic and all the troubles to get here. So are we going to get stuck outside and rather hear the score lines rather than making our way into the stadium? That is what just started lingering into the heads of these fans, and they decided that, okay, we're just going to take this risk. We're just going to try to overpower these military men and get our way into the stadium.
Giovanni, has the Cameroon football team that have now progressed to the quarterfinals, have they spoken at all about the tragedy?
Yeah, but it's a flimsy statement they made, a really flimsy statement, because in their statement, just like what I told you, they are they're trying to tell the fans as well to support them, but to do it responsibly. There was no responsible action from what I saw yesterday, and they have been given the wrong information from those who were on the ground. Because these fans were as responsible as they could get, they followed the queue, but then you cannot just force fans to get through, to get past just one entrance in the stadium, whereas you have over 7 places where these fans could enter. I mean, it's unheard of, and it is heart-aching that all these things had to happen yesterday. And it's not just about the Olympic Stadium. Forget the Olympic Stadium. We had a tragic incident there, yes. But what about the other stadiums? Because we're getting reports equally that exactly what happened at the Olympic Stadium yesterday. Unfortunately, we had loss of lives. But it's the same thing happening in Japoma in Douala. It's the same thing happening at the Omnisport Stadium in Limbe. But we've not heard of loss of lives there. So Why would people keep on forcing fans to get through one tiny lane when the stadium is as big and can have and has several entrances where people can make their way in without any difficulty? That's the question we're all asking ourselves now.
Giovanni Wanneh, thank you so much for your time. He's chatting to us from the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium, which is going to be hosting the Morocco versus Malawi round of 16 match. We thank you for your time here on Newzroom Afrika. In fact, that is the same stadium that the first quarterfinal match, which was supposed to take place at the Olembe Stadium, has now been moved to. So on Sunday, that first quarterfinal match will be taking place at the Ahidjo Stadium.